Have you ever paused to wonder why we sometimes inflict pain, knowingly or unknowingly, on others around us? Is it habit, ignorance, or perhaps a failure to connect our actions with their consequences? This story about the Buddha and the group of boys offers profound insights into these questions. As you read, I invite you to reflect not just on the tale, but also on its deep relevance to our modern lives. One quiet morning, under the warm glow of the rising sun, Buddha was walking through a village. His robes fluttered gently in the breeze, and his serene presence was enough to calm even the most restless of minds. As he approached a lake, a peculiar sound broke the morning silence: laughter. Not the kind born from joy, but a sharp, almost mocking laugh. Nearby, a group of boys was gathered, their attention fixed on a pile of squirming fish they had just caught. They giggled at the sight of the fish gasping for air, their delicate bodies writhing helplessly. The contrast between the boys' amusement and the fish's suffering was stark. Buddha stood quietly, observing. He didn't scold them. Instead, with deliberate and calm steps, he walked up to the boys. His very presence commanded attention. "Dear children," he began with a kind smile, "may I ask you something?" The boys, startled but curious, nodded. "Do you like to suffer? Do you like to feel pain in your lives?" The boys' expressions shifted. One of them stammered, "No, sir. We don't like pain or suffering. Nobody does." With the same calmness, Buddha replied, "If you fear suffering and dislike pain, why do you give it to others? These fish, like you, also fear pain. They also want to live, to be safe. When you harm them, you cause suffering just as you would feel if someone harmed you." The boys' giggles faded into silence. Buddha's words, simple yet profound, had struck a chord. Buddha continued, "Children, remember this. Pain and suffering are like seeds. When you plant them, they will grow and come back to you. Life is an echo. If you hurt others, that hurt will find its way back to you. But if you spread love and kindness, the world will mirror it back to you in ways you cannot imagine." Buddha's words resonate deeply, don't they? The idea that life echoes back what we send out is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. Let's pause for a moment and think about this in the context of modern life. At work, have you ever been part of a toxic workplace where gossip or backstabbing is rampant? Notice how negativity spreads like wildfire, creating a hostile environment that affects everyone, including the perpetrators. Conversely, in a supportive team, encouragement and respect fuel collective success. In relationships, when we approach our loved ones with criticism or impatience, we often receive the same in return. However, kindness and understanding usually lead to warmth and trust. One particularly moving example comes from a community-driven initiative I recently read about. In a small town, a group of volunteers started an anonymous kindness chain. People would leave small gifts or notes of encouragement for strangers. Within months, the town transformed. Crime rates dropped, and a sense of belonging grew stronger. Let's circle back to Buddha's message. While his words were directed at children, their essence applies universally. Modern society often measures success in material terms: money, possessions, or achievements. In this pursuit, we sometimes forget the simple truth Buddha highlighted. Happiness cannot thrive in a heart filled with cruelty or indifference. Take the story of the fish. In it, the boys' laughter masked their lack of awareness. Similarly, in our world, cruelty often hides behind justifications. "It's just business, everyone does it," or "it's not my problem." But deep down, isn't this just a way to silence our own conscience? Now, let me ask you, what kind of seeds are you planting in your life? Think of your actions, big and small. Are you spreading kindness, patience, and understanding? Or are you sowing seeds of harm, whether through words, actions, or indifference? It's easy to dismiss these questions in the hustle of daily life. But if we don't stop to reflect, we risk becoming like the boys by the lake, unaware of the consequences of our actions. This brings us to the halfway point of our story. But the journey doesn't end here. In the next part, we'll explore how to actively cultivate compassion in our lives and what practical steps we can take to ensure the echoes of our actions resonate with positivity and love. Before we continue, if you're finding this story meaningful, I encourage you to subscribe to Buddhism in Modern Life. By subscribing, you'll join a community dedicated to exploring timeless wisdom in a way that transforms our modern lives. Let's journey together toward a life filled with compassion, clarity, and purpose. In the first part of our story, we explored the Buddha's teaching that life is an echo. What we give to the world comes back to us. This idea, though simple, has profound implications. The question is, how do we take this wisdom and use it to transform our lives? Let's move beyond the story to uncover practical steps we can take to embody kindness, avoid harm, and create a ripple effect of compassion in our modern world. The boys in the story laughed because they were unaware of the suffering they were causing. Isn't that the root of most harm? Ignorance? We don't fully see the consequences of our actions. Awareness, therefore, is the first step toward change. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever snapped at someone out of frustration? Or overlooked the needs of someone close to you because you were too busy? Perhaps you've turned a blind eye to injustices, thinking, "It's not my place to intervene." These moments, while seemingly small, add up. Harm often begins in the smallest of actions, much like how a single pebble can create ripples across an entire lake. Buddha often emphasized mindfulness, the practice of being fully present. Here's an easy exercise to cultivate awareness. 1. Pause. When faced with a situation, take a deep breath before reacting. 2. Reflect. Ask yourself, will my action cause harm or spread kindness? 3. Act. Choose the path that aligns with compassion. For example, imagine you're stuck in traffic and someone cuts you off. Your immediate reaction might be anger, but if you pause, you may realize the driver could be dealing with an emergency or simply made a mistake. Choosing kindness in that moment diffuses tension for you and the other person. Kindness doesn't have to involve grand gestures. In fact, the most powerful acts of compassion are often the simplest. Let's look at practical ways to integrate Buddha's wisdom into our daily routines. 1. Kind words. Buddha taught that speech is one of the most powerful tools for either harm or good. Challenge yourself to replace criticism with encouragement. For instance, if a colleague makes a mistake, instead of pointing out their failure, offer constructive advice. 2. Acts of generosity. Generosity doesn't always mean giving money. It could be as simple as holding the door open for a stranger, helping a friend in need, or even sharing a smile. These small acts create a ripple of positivity. 3. Compassionate listening. In our fast-paced world, we often listen to respond rather than to understand. Practice truly listening to someone without judgment. You'll be surprised how much healing can come from simply being present for another person. A teacher in a rural school once noticed a boy struggling with his studies. Instead of reprimanding him, she took time to understand his challenges, poverty, and lack of resources. She started a small initiative, gathering old books and supplies for students in need. That one act of kindness inspired the entire community to contribute, changing countless lives. What if you've already caused harm, intentionally or unintentionally? Buddha's teachings remind us that it's never too late to change. Acknowledge the harm, make amends if possible, and commit to doing better moving forward. 3 steps to break the cycle of harm. 1. Acknowledge your actions. Take responsibility without self-judgment. 2. Seek forgiveness. Whether it's from another person, yourself, or even nature, like the boys in the story seeking forgiveness for harming the fish. 3. Commit to change. Let your actions reflect your intention to grow. It's not just ancient wisdom. Modern science also supports the power of kindness. Studies show that acts of compassion not only improve mental health, but also strengthen relationships and foster community. At the Starbucks Pay It Forward chain, in 2014, a single customer's gesture of paying for the next person's coffee led to over 400 consecutive acts of generosity in a single day. It was a powerful example of how one small action can inspire an entire community. Or the viral neighborly kindness. In a small neighborhood, a man started mowing his elderly neighbor's lawn as a simple act of kindness. Soon, other neighbors began helping out, fixing fences, painting houses, and organizing community potlucks. These examples mirror Buddha's teaching. When we plant seeds of kindness, they multiply, touching lives in ways we might never see. let's address a common question. Why isn't kindness our default response? Often, fear, insecurity, or past pain hold us back. For instance, we might fear being taken advantage of or feel that our kindness won't be appreciated. Buddha's wisdom here is clear. Kindness isn't about the outcome. It's about aligning with your values. When you choose kindness, you create inner peace, regardless of how others respond. Buddha emphasized 3 realms where our actions matter. 1. Body. Avoid physical harm to others, including animals and the environment. 2. Speech. Use words to uplift, not wound. 3. Mind. Cultivate thoughts of compassion and understanding rather than judgment or anger. Practical exercise. The daily check-in. At the end of each day, reflect on these 3 areas. Ask yourself, did I avoid causing harm today? Did my words spread kindness? Were my thoughts compassionate? This simple habit helps reinforce positive behavior and foster self-awareness. As we draw this journey to a close, let's revisit the core lesson of Buddha's story. Life truly is an echo. What we project into the world, whether kindness or harm, inevitably finds its way back to us. Imagine if each of us embraced this truth wholeheartedly. How different would our world look? Wars might give way to dialogue, greed to generosity, and indifference to empathy. Let's not leave these lessons in the realm of thought. Take them into your daily life. Start with small, consistent actions. A smile at a stranger. Apologize for a mistake. Or offer help without expecting anything in return. As you do, you'll find that the echoes of your kindness will not only transform the lives of others, but also bring immense joy and peace to your own heart. If this story has inspired you, I encourage you to subscribe to Buddhism in Modern Life. Together, we'll explore more timeless wisdom and practical steps to create a life filled with clarity, purpose, and compassion. Let's continue this journey of growth and connection. The story of the Buddha and the fish teaches us that our actions, no matter how small, have the power to shape the world around us. Like the boys who learned to replace harm with compassion, we too can choose kindness. Remember, every moment offers a chance to plant new seeds. Seeds of love, understanding, and hope. So, what kind of echo will you leave behind? The choice is yours.